That'll do. Well, here we are at Ardleigh Reservoir near Colchester in Essex, and it's looking a bit of a grim morning, unfortunately, although it's not as bad as it must have been a couple of weeks ago when these willows went down in that tremendous scale. It's a lovely reservoir here. It's something like 100 acres plus of water, and it's a big U shape with arms going to the east and to the west. It's predominantly a trout fishery. I think they cover something like 10,000 trout tickets here a year. But that's not what we're here for. We're going to hope to get a few pike and perch, because from October onwards here you can actually fish for pike and perch. It's a very progressive move by the management here. Can't see anything moving, but there's a grebe down there. Right, let's have a look at the boat. I've got this set out in a most unusual fashion, specifically for these big waters. It's probably more Americanified than anything, starting with the old spinning chair here. All I've done is adopt an old office chair, taking the base off, made a hole in the seat there and a hole and a little support in the bottom. And what this does, it allows me to sit up higher when I'm lure fishing and hold the rod down at a lower angle. Very useful, that, and you don't get so tired either. And here's the sonar unit, which is wired into the bottom of the boat with a 12-volt battery, and underneath the boat is the transducer. And what happens, you get 5,000 ultrasonic signals a second, goes through this, down through the transducer, hits the bottom, comes up again, and you get an instant readout in black dots for the bottom line, whichever depth it is, and this can go down to 120 feet. And on this particular model, the actual fish show up in red. So with depths out here to 50 feet, we'll see how we get on. And then over here, we've got something which is quite rare in British fishing boats. It's a downrigger, and it works on the principle that there's a heavy lead ball there, your rod goes in there, your line is brought up and down, clips in a clip to the lead ball, and then the line goes out behind the boat 10, 20 feet. And if this is lowered to 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever depth it goes at, the bait is being trolled behind that, horizontally. It's great. And of course, the Americans use it for these deep water lake trout and salmon. And be interesting to see what happens at Ardleigh Reservoir, won't it? Right, let's get the boat out. Well, we've had a look at all the gizmos. These are some of the rods I'm going to be using. A pair of 5-foot American bait casting rods with little baby multipliers. A couple of spinning rods, and I've got 2 dead baiting rods there for a bit of piking as well. Right, these are the baits. I've got some small dead roach and some smelts there for the pike, but what I want to mainly do is concentrate on this lot. Look at that. There's just about everything in there. Let's have a look at some of them. Now this is an American plastic worm, rigged Texas style. What you do, you've got the weighted part there which cones over the front of the worm, and you just nick the point of the hook in, so it actually moves across the bottom weedless, and when the perch grabs hold of it, of course the hook comes through the plastic and he's ready to be struck. Here's another different type. This is a weighted jig, and this has got a weighted part at the head with the hook part at the top, the eye there. We put a green worm, we can put any colour worm on because we've got about 30 different colour worms. It actually fishes that way up through the water, and it doesn't catch on the bottom. The hook's always pointing upwards, so that's almost a weedless rig as well. It just goes like that through the water. Right, what else we got? Over here we've got some chrome plated jigs which are very good. These don't actually fish like a spinner. You put them down to the bottom and jig them up like that, and hopefully the perch are going to take those. If not, we've got some deep diving plugs. That's a shad rattler. That one will actually go down to 15 feet deep. Look at its big diving vein there. As you pull it, it rattles as well. It's got a ball bearing inside. And then over here we've got some funny things. These are what we call a spinning jig. We've got the weighted jig and worm, but it's actually fixed on a little spinning blade, and so this goes through the water like that. Perch love them, they really do. And then if they don't work, we've got some spinner baits which are very similar. They work on an identical principle. You've got the vibratory blade above Got a big hook here following below, and we've got a little tiny treble wired into that, so if the perch comes short they'll grab that one. What else have we got? Oh, we got some basic spoons which also work very well. The old copper spoon, that's a favourite with lots of predator hunters. Then we got some more deep diving plugs like this little one. You can see that one's got a very big vein, and that will go down deep when you pull it hard. And then finally we've got some feather jigs. These are very popular in the States for catching all sorts of the sunfish family. And again, they've got a marabou tail and a weighted part there, and the hook again is that way up as you jig it like that. Right, there's dozens and dozens of more in there if some of those don't work, so let's get the boat out and put them into action. Ooh. The nice thing about this swivel seat of mine is, although it's higher, it's just as nice for rowing as it is for fishing from. Right, let's switch the old sonar on and see what we're going to pick up. I think I'll head diagonally across the reservoir and see what the depths are. At the moment it's 5 feet. One or two stumps showing up where the trees were cut down and leaving these withered old stumps before the water was allowed to fill up the valley. It's going 7 feet now, 8 feet. Haven't recorded anything yet, haven't seen anything come up yet. 10 feet. Doesn't seem to be any shellfish here. 15 feet. Wow, it's a good old depth. I'm only about 40 yards from the shore here. Now it's switching over to the new scale, 20 feet. Whew, it is deep. We're no more than 50 yards from the shore here. 20 feet of water. See what's happening. I had a little blimp then. There could have been a... Oh yes, there's a big shoal of fish. Now they could be roach. They're about 3 or 4 feet off the bottom there. The nice thing about this Humminbird recorder is that it picks up fish only 3 inches off the bottom, so there's no mistake that you are actually looking at fish. Massive shoal there, massive shoal, right by this red buoy. I think I'll remember that. Wow, massive shoal of fish, about 3 feet off bottom again. Oh, I just put on one of those little copper jigs, look at that. Yes, the sonar's right, there's lots of perch down here. I hope they're not all that size. In you go. Still, where there's small ones, there's big ones. Down we go again. This is quite fun, this is. I've just slipped an anchor over the after end, and I seem to have attracted an enormous shoal of perch here. I think they're all probably little ones, and I'm just jigging this little copper bar spoon there, just off the bottom, and no response. No, I think there's a lot of roach too then in that case. I think the little perch would have had that. Let's change that, that's tiny, look at that. I mean, that's absolutely minute. If there was a lot of little perch there, I'm sure they would have chomped that by now. Let's try something a little bit more glamorous. Let's try this red and white plastic jig. This looks like it could be the business. Actually, the truth of the matter is I just like trying all these different gizmo lures. It's all a sort of a it's a lot of fun. If I just had dead baits with me or one type of plug, I might be a bit jarred off by now, but I've got about 30 different lures to try before that happens. Right, now this looks a good one. God, I'd have that if I was a perch. Look at that. Right, let's whack it out a bit and bring it along the bottom horizontal, and then we'll jig it under the boat. Oh, we're coming over a lot of fish now. Look at that. Cool. That's a tremendous shoal. The snag is it's not easy to know whether it's roach or perch. I think they're a bit too high in the water for perch. Big shoal though. The red is overplaced with black there, which means it's very dense. The one way of reading this, if it's just red, it's probably small fish, but if it's overdone with black, then It could be a very good size shoal of quite large fish actually. They're probably good quality roach. Oh. Yeah, whacking it out and then bringing it back along the bottom horizontal definitely seems better than jigging it up and down, because you're only appealing to fish that are right under the boat then, and of course... Oh yes, here we are. Oh, gotcha. Yes, I think I'm doing the old jigging wrong, Wilson. I think I'm going to have to try the horizontal approach. This feels marginally better. I don't say it's massive, but... Oh, it's a little pike. Oh, you little devil. Look at that. Oh, I thought that was a better perch, and I thought we got the answer there. Gotcha. But we haven't. Well, something likes my pink plastic worms. Even if he only is a tiny little pike. Look at that, that's absolutely perfect. Fin perfect. These pointed tail, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Predation in miniature. Well, I seem to have been rowing about now for ages, so I think I'm going to take a bit of a breather and get onto the bank and have a go along this dam wall. It looks quite good there. See if we can find somewhere we can get the boat up in shallow water. Oh, it looks a bit of easy bank over there. Hope there's no stumps around here. I don't think there are. Oh. Right, let's see if we can beach it. Oh, ah. Right, I'll put the mud weight down just in case. Right, I've got my 3 little bait casting rods here already and a pocket full of lures, and give the dam a go. Well, here we are on terra firma at the dam end. It's nice to be out of the boat actually. It's a bit steep here though. I wouldn't want to be here on a frosty or rainy day. Let's give this spot a go here. I've got a couple of little bait casting rods and a small fixed spool outfit and a pocket full of lures. I'm going to give the old Ondex a try, a trusted perch lure. See how we do. I don't really know what the depth is here, so give it a few seconds to get down a bit and then see what happens. Check the clutch. When I'm spinning, I like to almost point the rod at the lure. A lot of people worry that that could be suicidal and the line break if a fish grabs. So there's a lot of stretching monofilament. That doesn't often happen, but you do tend to set the hook more than if you were holding the rod to the side, because the rod gets banged around by a taking fish, and then before you have a chance to really set the hook, it's got a bit of slack and it tends to spit the hooks out. Oh, that's working nicely. Right, I didn't catch bottom, so I'll give it a little bit longer to get down next cast. I'm searching this area in a sort of a grid fashion, not casting too near each other each cast, so that if there were some fish there, they're not continually put off by the lure's action. They've got a couple of minutes before it goes past them again. If I don't get a take this time, I think I'm going to put on a heavier copper spoon and try and get a bit more distance, and so I can bring it through the water a little faster. Ah, here we are. Oh, at last. Oh, it's not a big one, but it's not bad. Oh, it's a reasonable fish. I thought I was never going to get one there. Come on. About 3/4 pound. Look at that. Whoops. Careful. Careful. A pretty fish, aren't they, the perch? Look at that lovely spiked dorsal fin. I always remember when we were kids, we used to think that that little black bit there was poisonous, and none of the kids would ever put their hand anywhere near it. And of course, if you actually prick your hand, and I mean, it's liable to go septic because those barbs are very sharp. Beautiful colour perch. Lovely orangey red tail. And you certainly like that Ondex, didn't you? Lovely fish. Back to the Ondex again. I'm going to try a very, very slow retrieve now and risk that bottom weed and see if that produces anything. Sometimes when you spin very, very slow for perch, the blade's just about rotating, you do get some bangs. The only trouble is, of course, you're not going really fast enough for the impetus of the fish hitting it to set the hooks, and you do tend to miss more when it's like that. Probably hitting a little bit of weed going this slow as well. Oh, hello, had a bang there. Yes, we're in. Oh, going slower did make a difference. Isn't that amazing? I wouldn't have thought that it would have done. Oh, this feels a little better. Oh yes, that's a better looking fish, definitely. Well, it's better than the last one anyway. It's a pound plusser. Oh, careful. I'll lose you now. Oh, that's fine. That lovely fin there. That beautiful. They're proud looking fish, perch. Lovely tail. That fooled you, didn't it? Going slow's obviously the way. Beautiful fish. Isn't that nice? Right, well here we are, we're up on the western arm of the reservoir now, near the trout pens, and I'm going to whack a dead bait right up into the wind, well away from where I'm going to be jigging with the second rod. This is one of the favourite spots around here for pike. I still wish the sun had come out. It's still a little bit grim, although it's trying to break through, so we might just get a couple of hours of sunlight. Let that hit the bottom. I'm not going to bother with a float on this one because of the yawing of the boat here, and use a free line with 3 swan shots on it, so that if it does decide to move off, the swan shots make the pike move off against the boat. So we'll put that in a band, put it off the bows there, and I can keep my eye on that. And I'm going to check that clutch again. Yep. I do like wobbling dead baits. You never really know what size pike you're going to get. I still think that static deads produce the biggies over all methods, but I've had a lot of doubles and quite a few 20s on wobbled deads in the past. It's just getting that relationship with the bottom, whether your bait's going slowly down and just tripping up, and then you bring it up 2 or 3 feet and let the weights take it down again. And some days they want it slow, and some days they want it fast. I don't think they want it too fast here because there's not an enormous amount of visibility, probably about 2-3 foot of reasonable vis. Well, nothing on that cast. We're well off the bottom now. Sometimes you get a big old brown trout following it into the boat like this. I've often seen them shear away just at the last minute. Right, let's whack this right up into the wind. There's a good ripple on here at the moment. In fact, the light stops have gone up a couple of notches, and the sun looks as though it could be breaking through. That might be all we need to get a bit of action. Just sparkle them into feeding. Right, we're on the bottom again. I've got the big net made up just in case we do get into a pike, a good one. Although I prefer to lift out little pike, because with the loose trebles they tend to get caught up in the net, and if they twist and turn they don't do themselves any good. Or you trace and it's easier to glove them out, or hand them out really. With lure fishing in general and jigs and that, I still prefer to glove out even a big fish because of the trebles getting messed about in the net. It's taken right under the boat. Oh, it's a little pike. Oh, I thought for a second that was a big perch. Just for a split second, mind. You little devil, you. Right, open wide. Come on. God, tremendous strength he's got in those jaws there. Come on. It's a tiny little fish and he won't open. Come on. It's better. There we are. Fresh little fish, isn't it? Right, away you go. Well, I don't know, I've learnt an awful lot about the reservoir here at Ardleigh today, particularly with the use of the sonar equipment. I've found lots of shoals of fish and quite a few of the deeper gullies, so when I come here next time I'll be well equipped. But of course, for all the gizmos, it doesn't mean to say that the fish are going to jump up on your hook. It just makes it all that much more interesting. I honestly think that the better quality fish of this reservoir are going to have to wait for me anyway for another day, but I'm going to have a few more casts into the sunset nonetheless. Well, would you believe it? I've wound the other rods in, I've even put the net away, and I pick up the last dead baiting rod and there's a fish. Pulled the band out just when I was... Oh, it's a good double too. Isn't that incredible? Oi, oi, oi. No, it's not as big as I first thought. Still, at least it's a nice fish to end the day with. Just when I thought we weren't going to get anything reasonable at all, I'm going to have to hand this one out. And the hooks are in the scissors as well. Let's see if he'll take hand lining. He might do. Oh! So now he's still a little bit lively. Let's just flick the smelt off. Come on. Now then, hang on there. Yes, we've got him. Oh, there we are. Well, hasn't been such a bad day after all, has it? I don't believe that. I really did think that we weren't going to get anything. Look at that unusual deformity it's got by its dorsal fin, like a hump there. Isn't that strange? Never seen that on a pike before. It's like its last vertebrae's come up and been a bit deformed. It's most peculiar, that. Fish about... Oh. Well, that just about takes the bloody biscuit, that does.